Okay, welcome guys. I want to take you through this year's BattleBot course, which is similar to last year's, but we've made a few revisions and a few improvements to hopefully eliminate some of the ties and some of the other issues that we had last year when we had many of the robots survive through a single round. So let's just kind of go through and take you through the course and what each part of the course has in it. First of all, the robots start at either end of a normal 4x8 Lego field. Each section is 15 by 15, which is the legal limit of the robot, so it should fit well within the square without any issues. If it does not, then the robot is too big. Again, according to the rules, the robot can expand once time has started, but it must expand on its own power. You cannot do anything physically to intervene and make the robot expand. Okay, next, moving along, we have got the minefield of poop, as we call it, that once you start your robot here, you will break through the barriers to get out of your square, and then you'll have to either navigate through this minefield of poop or over these blue star barriers, whatever you want to call them, in order to get out. Now over here next to this starting block, we have what we're calling our Lego quicksand pit. This is a pit full of various Lego parts that will get all jammed up in your wheels and components of your robot, making it very difficult, if not impossible, to navigate through. And so this can be an area where you can push another robot into, hopefully to entrap it, or hopefully you don't get pushed in there yourself. Okay, moving over here to the opposite side, this is the starting zone for the opposite robot. Again, we have our poop minefield, we call it, and then we also have our blue star barriers. But over here, instead of having our Lego quicksand, we have these two giant piles of old field models from various Lego games. There's a space in between, and they are sitting upon these kind of balance boards that are somewhat stable but can easily be tipped over, dumping all of these parts and components onto the field, or ideally onto another robot that is pushed in between, hopefully burying it and making it impossible for that robot to get out. And then of course in the center of our field we have our three demolition towers. All three of them are very unsteady and unstable and are easy to knock over by backing into or pushing them over. And at the top of each tower is a container of various Legos, which may or may not be the ones that are in there now when it comes game time, but they will also create various obstacles. As you see, one of our big revisions that we made this year was we greatly expanded the ramp. The ramp is now about 4 times its original size from what it was last year. So it makes it fairly easy to travel from one field over to the other field. And then our really neat addition that we've added this year is here. We call this our bottomless pit of Lego. Yes, this is an actual hole in the table that leads down to a plastic container which will be filled with foam or some other soft material to catch your robot if necessary. But this is held together with just 2 small black pegs, so it's very unstable and it will not support a lot of weight. So a robot could conceivably get pushed onto this structure, and then the structure would collapse, the robot would fall into the bottomless pit, and your robot is effectively out of the game. And this will be an interesting wrinkle this year because last year we had a lot of robots that did battle with each other but never could quite get the upper hand on each other, but they could shove each other around. So this is definitely an option and a strategy for eliminating your opponent, is to push them into the bottomless pit of Lego, which they will not be able to return from. Okay, again, just a reminder that the wall that's here in the front is just for photographic purposes. It would not be here during the actual game. The other field will basically mirror this one. Things might not be quite in the same place, but they will be set up very, very similar with very similar parts. And so 2 robots on that side, 2 robots on this side, and then a 5-minute time limit to see who can survive the 5 minutes. And yes, one of the key factors in judging and deciding which robots move on and which robots do not from the preliminary rounds to the quarterfinals, semifinals, and final rounds will be the ability of your robot to go over the ramp and go over into the opposite field. And that's really important. So make sure as you're constructing your robots that if you have some of the green ramps, these were left over from Animal Allies, but if you have some of those, I would use those as a testing apparatus, or you could just build a ramp of your own design or whatever and test to make sure that your robot can climb it and go over it, so that you will be able to meet that qualification to be able to advance if there is some sort of issue about which robots we're going to move on to the next round and which ones we're not. So again, if you have any additional questions, we're still working out a few other little details of the rules, but for the most part, the rules are pretty much consistent with what I've already sent out by email. But again, if you have any questions, feel free to email me. Your teacher can do that, or students are welcome to email me directly at my school email address. Again, thanks so much. I hope you're excited about this year's BattleBot competition. I certainly am. It's going to be a blast. So good luck. Build your bots. See what kind of crazy contraptions and weapons you can come up with this year. And we will see you in a little over a month. Thank you.